Hi, my name is Jerica Anderson, and this is the female reproductive system. So this is a screenshot printed right from the Zygote Body website, and I have pinpointed three major structures of the female reproductive system, and I'll tell you a little bit about each. So first is the ovaries, and there is one right here on either side of the body. And the female body has two ovaries. They're located on either side of the uterus, and they're held on by a membrane lining. According to a science journal called Live Science, the pituitary gland actually releases two hormones, the follicle stimulating hormone and the gonadotropic hormones. And then that stimulates a small cavity in the ovary to release an egg. The follicle also releases the sex hormones known as estrogen and progesterone. So these two hormones are there to regulate menstruation as well as to control the development of sex organs. So when those hormones are released from the pituitary and the sex hormones interact with one another, the menstrual cycle is set in motion. And the ovaries are normally smooth in structure, and they're about the size of an almond. Some common concerns for a non-functioning ovary can be due to either cysts, bacteria endometriosis, or even a tumor. Another structure, if we move on down, so the ovary is connected with fallopian tubes to the uterus, which is this yellow portion right here in the middle. So the uterus is located between the bladder and the rectum, and it's shaped like an upside down pear. So it is a muscular organ that has four sections. So the fundus is the top, the body called the corpus, the mouth called the cervix, and the opening called the internal os. The muscle tissue and ligaments, that's what holds the uterus in place. And inside the inner mast cell, there's two types of cells. During menstrual flow, these cells they line the uterus and they're shed monthly. So this would be what we know as the period. During pregnancy, that monthly lining does not get shed, but instead it prepares itself each month and it prepares for a possible pregnancy. So it could receive an egg from a fertilized egg from the fallopian tube, and it will be implanted into the lining. The embryo would then release HCG, which would tell that lining to stay and then give nutrients while the placenta were to grow. So these muscles that line the uterus, they are meant to stretch. They have what's inside of them that's like pockets and folds that way it's able to stretch the ability and hold the growing baby. The next structure is the vagina, and it's right here. So what connects the vagina to the uterus is the cervix, which we talked about. That is kind of like the mouth of the uterus. So the vagina is a canal-like structure, and it's lined with muscle, and it's covered in a mucous membrane. And this mucous membrane has many purposes. And the first purpose is to provide, obviously, a very slick, moist environment because it's mucousy. It protects against friction during intercourse and childbirth. And it also protects the vagina against bacteria to aid with its ability to self-clean. It's also lined with elastic fibers, and these linings are called rugae, and that helps it to stretch during childbirth to be able to compensate for that fetus or the newborn that is coming down through that canal.